Hello, what's up, people? Good morning. This is Yale Pips. This is day two of me reading every day for 15 minutes to improve my English and articulation. I didn't feel like reading today, but I did. Let's start. Rich Dad Poor Dad, page 16. Let's put a 15-minute timer. Where it been in the undergrowth, then took the order as just as fair and having perhaps the better claims because it was grassy and what and where, though as for the passing there, had worn them really about the same, and both the morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the fast for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads onto way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sight, somewhere edges and edges ends. Two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the ones less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And that has made all the difference. Over the years, I have often reflected upon Robert Frost's poem, choosing not to listen to my highly educated dad's advice and attitude about money was a painful decision, but it was a decision that shaped the rest of my life. Once I made up my mind about whom to listen to, my education about money began. My rich dad taught me over a period of 30 years until I was 39 years old. He stopped once he realized that I knew and fully understood what he had been trying to drum into my often thick skull. Thick skull. Money is one form of power, but what is more powerful is financial education. Money comes and goes, but if you have the education about how money works, you gain power over it and can begin building wealth. The reason positive thinking alone does not work is because most people went to school and never learned how money works. So they spend their lives working for money. Because I was only 9 years old when I started, the lessons my rich dad taught me were simple. And where it was all said and done, there were only six main lessons repeated over 30 years. This book is about those six lessons, put as simple as possible, just as simple as my rich dad put forth those lessons to me. The lessons are meant not to be answered, not to be answers, but guideposts that will assist you and your children to grow wealthier, no matter what happens in a world of increasing change and uncertainty. Chapter 1, Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. Dad, can you tell me how to get rich? My dad put down the evening paper. Why do you want to get rich, son? Because today Jimmy's mom drove up in their new Cadillac and they were going to their beach house for the weekend. He took three of his friends, but Mike and I weren't invited. They told us we weren't invited because we were poor kids. They did? My dad asked incredulously. I don't know that word, but I'm going to search it. Incredulously. Incredulosly. Yeah, they did. I replied in a hard tone. My dad silently shook his head, pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose like that, and went back to reading the paper. I stood waiting for an answer. The year was 1956. I was 9 years old, but some twist of fate, I attended the same public school where the rich parents send their kids. We were primarily a sugar plantation town. The managers of the plantation and the other affluent people, such as doctors, business owners, and bankers, sent their children to their elementary school. After grade 6, their children were generally sent off to private schools. Because my family lived on one side of the street, I went to this school. Had I lived on the other side of the street, I would have gone to a different school with kids from families more like mine. After grade 6, these kids and and I will go on the public intermediate and high school. There was a private school for them or for me. There was there was no private school for them or for me. My dad finally put down the paper. I could tell he was thinking. Well, son, he began slowly. If you want to be rich, you have to learn to make money. How do I make money? I asked. Well, use your head, son, he said, smiling. Even then, I knew that really meant that's all I'm going to tell you. Oh, I don't know the answer. So don't embarrass me. A partnership is formed. The next morning, I told my best friend Mike what my dad had said. As best as I could tell, Mike and I were the only poor kids in this school. Mike was also in the school by a twist of fate. Someone had drawn a joke in the line for the school district, but we felt as if were because all the other boys had new baseball gloves, new bicycles, new everything. Mom and dad provided us with the basics like food, shelter, and clothes. But that was about it. My dad used to say, if you want something, work for it. We wanted things, but there was not much work available for 9 years old boys. So, what do we do to make money? Mike asked. I don't know, I said. But do you want to be my partner? He agreed. And so on that Saturday morning, Mike became my first business partner. We spent all morning coming up with ideas on how to make money. Occasionally, we talked about the cool guys at Jimmy's beach house having fun. It hurt a little, but that hurt was good because inspired us to keep thinking of a way to make money. Finally, that afternoon, I bought a lightning struck. It was an idea might go from a science book he had read. Excitedly, we shook hands, and the partnership now had a business. For the next several weeks, Mike and I ran around our neighborhood, knocking on doors and asking our neighbors if they would save their toothpaste tubes for us. With puzzled looks, most others consented with a smile. Some asked us what we were, what we were doing, to which we replied, "We can't tell you, it's a business secret." My mind, my mom grew distressed as the weeks wore on. We had selected a site next to a washing machine as the place we would stockpile our raw material in a brown cardboard box that at one time held catsup bottles. A little pile of used toothpaste tubes began to grow. Finally, my mom put her foot down. The sight of her neighbor's messy, crumpled, used toothpaste tubes had gotten to her. What are you boys doing? She asked, and I don't want to hear again that it's a business secret. Do something with this mess, or I'm going to throw it away, to throw it out. Mike and I pleaded and begged, explaining that we will soon have enough and then we will begin production. We informed her that we were waiting on a couple of neighbors to finish their toothpaste so we could have their tubes. Mom granted us a 1 week extension. The date to begin production was moved up and the pressure was on. My first partnership was already began threatened with an eviction notice by my own mom. It became Mike's job to tell the neighbors to quickly use up their toothpaste, saying their dentist wanted them to brush more often anyway. I began to put together the production line. One day, my dad drove up with a friend to see two 9 years old boys in the driveway with the production line operating at full speed. There was fine white powder everywhere. On a long table were small milk cartoons from school, and our family's hibachi grill was glowing with red hot coals at maximum heat. Dad woke up cautiously, having parked the car at the base of the driveway since the production line blocked the carport. Aziz and his girlfriend got closer. They saw a steel pot sitting on top of the coals in which the toothpaste tubes were being melted down. In those days, toothpaste did not come in plastic tubes. The tubes were made of lead, so once the paint was burnt out, the tubes were dropped in the small steel pot. They melted until they became liquid, and with my man pot holders, we poured the lead through a small hole in the top of the milk cartons, ibi carton. The milk cartons were filled with plasters of Paris. White powder was everywhere. In my house, in my house, I had knocked the bag over, and the entire area looked like it had been hit by a snowstorm. The milk cartons were outer containers for plaster and Paris molds. My dad and his friend watched as we carefully poured the molten lead through a small hole in the top of the plaster of Paris cube. Careful, my dad said. I nodded without looking up. Finally, once the pouring was through, I put the steel pot down and smiled at my dad. What are you doing, boys? What are you boys doing? He asked with a cautious smile. We are doing what you told me to do. We are going to be rich, I said. Yep, said Mike, grinning and nodding his head. We are partners. And what is in those partners' mouth? My dad asked. Watch, I said. This should be a good batch. With a small hammer, I tapped at the seal that divided the tube in half. Cautiously, I pulled up the top half of the plaster mold and a lead nickel fell out. Oh no, my dad exclaimed. You are casting nickels out of the lead. That's right, Max said. We are doing as you told us to do. We are making money. My dad's friend turned and burst into laughter. My dad smiled and shook his head. Along with a fire and a box of spent toothpaste tubes, in front of him were two little boys covered with white dust, smiling from here to here. He asked us to put everything down and sit with him on the front step of our house. With a smile, he gently explained what the word counterfeiting mean, or fake. Our dreams were dashed. You mean this is illegal? Asked Mike in a crying voice. Let them go, my dad's friends say. They might be developing a natural talent. My dad glared at him. Yes, it is illegal, my dad said gently. But you boys have shown great creativity and original thought. Keep going. I'm really proud of you. Disappointed, Mike and I sat in silence for our 20 minutes before we began cleaning up our mess. The business was over on opening day. Sweeping the powder up, I looked at Mike and said, I guess Jimmy and his friend are right. We are poor. My father was just leaving as I said, boys, he said, you are only poor if you give up. The most important thing is that you did something. You are only poor if you give up. The more important thing is that you did something. Most people only talk and dream of getting rich. You have done something. I'm very proud of the two of you. I will say it again, keep going. Don't quit. Mike and I stood there in silence. They were nice words, but we still did not know what to do. So how come you are not rich, Dad? I asked. I asked. Because I chose to be a school teacher. School teachers really don't think about being rich. We just like to teach. I wish I could help you, but I don't know how to make money. Mike and I turned and continued our cleanup. I know, said my dad. If you boys want to learn how to be rich, don't ask me. Talk to your dad, Mike. My dad asked Mike with a scrumped up face. Yeah, your dad, repeated my dad with a smile. Your dad and I, the same banker, he raves about your father. He's told me several times my dad's father is brilliant when it comes to making money. My dad, Mike asked, and in disbelief, then how come we don't have a nice car and nice house like the rich kids at school? A nice car and nice house don't necessarily mean you are rich or you are not rich. You know how to make money. My dad replied, Jimmy's dad works for the sugar plantation. He's not much different from me. He works for a company and I work for a government. The company buys the car for the company for him. The sugar company is in financial trouble and Jimmy's dad may soon have nothing. Your dad is different, Mike. He seems to be building an empire and I suspect in a few years he will be a very rich man. With that, Mike and I got excited again. With new vigor, we, we began cleaning up this mess caused by our own different first business. As we were cleaning, we made plans for how and when to talk to Mike's dad. The problem was that Mike's dad worked long hours and often did not come home until late. His father owned warehouses, a construction company, a chain of stores, and three restaurants. It was the restaurant that kept him out late. Mike called the bus out after we had finished cleaning up. He was going to talk to his dad when he got home that night and ask him if he would teach us how to be rich. So this is page 23. We'll begin on the page 23. Mike promised to call as soon as he had talked to his dad. Even if it was late, the phone rang at 8:30 p.m. Okay, I said, next Saturday. I put the phone down. Mike's dad had agreed to meet with us. On Saturday, I called the 7:30 a.m. bus on the poor side of town. So we will next time, it is tomorrow, we will start by reading on the lessons begin. Day two is complete. Peace out.